I'm going to run this country like a business, and I'm going to lift you up. And I understand how trade works because I've been running a business. So I just fully reject that he somehow...
What business? What successful business has he had? He ran down 6 casinos. Bankruptcy. 6 casinos. Where people literally go there to give you their money. And you somehow fail that 6 times. Candace, please. Do better. When you educate yourself, you can do better. Right now, you look like a damn fool. Alright, so I don't think this video really needs an introduction. As you've seen, you probably clicked on a thumbnail because you already know we're going to not sit down, but I'm going to stand up, get comfortable, so we can break down this 30-minute and 7-second debate with Candace Owens. And it's spelled with 3 K's, not a C, you know, just get your spelling right, against Marcus Lamont Hill. You know what I'm saying? Last time, I think he kind of underperformed the last time he debated her, but I think this one here, he did a pretty decent job. So let's go ahead and watch, and let's break this down like a fraction.
Donald Trump's stunning comeback has upended some long-held assumptions about US politics. His landslide-winning coalition includes many supposed voting groups that Democrats have long taken for granted. In fact, one of the biggest lessons they will need to learn is that demography is not destiny. Black voters aren't a monolith, and neither, for that matter, are men and women. Trump made huge inroads with black voters, and in the end, the first black female candidate for president fared worse than Joe Biden. The number of women voting actually increased as a share of the electorate, but a potential first female president got just 53% of their votes, the worst result for a Democrat in 2 decades. And despite the prophecy that a comedian's bad joke about Puerto Rico would cost Trump the White House, Trump ended up with 46% of Latino votes and won with Latino men by a whopping 12 points. Perhaps a new dividing line in US politics is not black or white, nor right or left, but right or wrong. To debate that, I'm joined by host of the Candace Owens Show, Candace Owens, and the host of Bet News, Professor and author Marc Lamont Hill. Well, Candace, let me start with you. It was a stunning set of results. But one of the more stunning things to me is that after years of being assured by the left that Trump's the worst racist to ever run for president, you saw so many black and particularly Latino voters racing to vote for him. Why?
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. That was a big part of my prediction, was that especially black men, you could see that they were turning away, especially after Barack Obama was really patronizing to come out. You left your Martha Vineyards estate and decided to roll up your sleeves.
Okay, hold on. Whoa, time out. You see, like the first couple minutes of her talking is lies, misinformation, and if you're not educated enough to look this information up, you will take what she says as gospel truth. I mean, she's talking all proper and, you know, she has her hair kind of fixed up. So, like, she has to know what she's talking about, right? She's black. At least I think so, you know? So she can't be talking bad about black folks. But unfortunately, the numbers, the statistics, the facts don't back that claim up. Actually, black men and black women voted in large numbers for the Democratic Party for Harris. So what is she talking about? Black men. I think Trump only had, 13-ish% of the black vote? While 87% black individuals voted for the Democratic Party? Come on. What are you trying to say? What are you saying? Because what you're saying, what I'm hearing, doesn't make any sense. It doesn't match the data that's publicly shown. But, you know, I digress.
And inauthentically tell the brothers how they have to behave.
So you can't.
You know, I think it's one of these things where you just can't keep doing the exact same thing all the time and not expect people to wake up to your patterns. And it has been a very long pattern of them speaking to people in a manner in which they're essentially telling them that if you don't do this, it's because you're a racist. If you don't do this, it's because you're backwards. If you're a black person, it's your duty to behave like this. And fundamentally, that is racist, right? When you're not even actually saying anything based upon her policies or talking to people as if they're individuals who are having their lives impacted by their bad policies, but rather saying it's incumbent upon you as a woman to vote for her because she's a woman. It's incumbent upon you as a man to vote for him because you're black and she's going to be the first African president, which she wasn't. And so I think,
Okay, so name one black person, one credible, not just some weirdo on Twitter or whatever. Name one black person that said you need to vote for Kamala Harris because she's black or because she's a woman. And before you even talk about the whole Obama code, I done did 2 videos talking about that. Not once in that video did he say, hey, black men, you need to vote for Kamala Harris because she's black. He didn't say that. It's people who can't comprehend speech. They can't comprehend nothing. That's what they took out of that. But if you listen to it again, what he's trying to imply is do not say you're not going to vote for her because you don't want to vote for a woman. Don't base it off gender. Base it off of policies and what she wants to do for the black community. Not once did he say, well, I think you should vote for her because she's a woman and, she's black. No, idiots, pay attention. But 9 times out of 10, if that's what you heard, I guarantee you didn't graduate high school. That's simple.
Think I've been proven correct here. The celebrity endorsements really hurt them this time around. It felt very cheesy, especially because she wasn't voted for, right? So she had 107 days. She didn't even campaign. They just it was a coronation more than anything else. It's a coronation. We've picked her for you, and you will do as we are instructing you to do and vote for her because, look, we have LeBron James and we have Beyonce, and that's what you know to do when Taylor Swift gives you a post. I think ultimately they insulted a lot of their voters.
Yeah, I mean, Marc Lamont Hill, I really feel
Mark.
that this time.
Come on,
whether it was
Hill,
Jennifer
man,
Lopez lecturing Latinos that this is you can't vote for this guy, or Barack Obama telling black voters you've got to vote for the black candidate. Oprah, George Clooney,
Pierce,
out
man,
they
you
come.
gotta,
As they did for Hillary Clinton, but it didn't work for her. And it didn't work for Kamala Harris. And I do feel like Candace just said, I felt it actively deterred people. I think it drove them to go and vote against what they saw as a kind of celebrity multimillionaire elite. What do you think of that?
Well, you guys made a few points I'd like to respond to. First, I don't know if celebrity culture and the wave of celebrities deterred people from voting. I'd rather rely on the data for that. And until I see the data.
Whoa! Did he just say the D word? Did Marc Lamont hear the professor? Did he just say data? I mean, statistics, numbers, facts, analytics. You mean the things that kind of back up your claims or what you're trying to spew as facts? Oh, Marc is already here. And Pierce and Candace is like down here. Just based off that, like, hey, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I don't see no facts to back that up. I mean, come on, man.
I don't want to make a determination. I think that voters in general want to be spoken to about policy issues. I think they want to be engaged about the things that matter in their lives. But Barack Obama also had a ton of celebrities, and it did work. I think if people like you, celebrities are an added bonus. If they don't like you, if they don't want you, celebrities hurt. I don't think that's the issue here. I think more fundamentally, the question of whether you should vote for somebody because you're black or because you're a woman or whatever is a little more complicated than has been suggested. I think that the message that I would give to somebody is never vote to support somebody because they're black, right? I would never vote for a candidate because they're black, but I will vote for a candidate because I'm black. In other words, I will vote for a candidate that speaks to my interests. And I think it's okay to say to people, hey, there are some things that affect your community, and this candidate is better for you. The problem is we should not presume that because someone is the same race as you or the same gender as you, that they have your community's best interests at heart. I do think in the case of Kamala Harris, though, an interesting thing happened, right? They were basically saying women's reproductive rights are on the table. If you specifically are pro-abortion, you should be voting for Kamala Harris because that's your only chance at saving what has already been a devastating loss. I think that is logical. If you support abortion, Donald Trump ain't the guy to vote for based on what he said and based on what Kamala Harris has said. I think, though, what we saw in America and what we always see in America is that white people in general, in terms of the majority, are not going to vote for a Democrat. No Democrat has gotten the majority of white voters since like LBJ. It's been decades. And so ultimately, white people often don't vote their interests. Black people often don't vote their interests. And I think that's the problem. And that's what many of us get so frustrated.
But I had a fascinating conversation with an African-American woman, I guess in her late 30s. Maybe.
And count on Pierce. Count on Pierce, who has nothing of substance to add on to the conversation. Nothing that is backed with facts or anything. Just stuff pulling out of his ass, honestly, is going to say the most dumbest response to what Marc laid out. I mean, follow up with that. You know, like try to have him elaborate or you know, some sort of rebuttal, but he's going to come up with this dumb ass response. Oh my
maybe
God.
early 40s yesterday, and she voted Trump for the first time. And I said, why? And she said, you know, it's interesting. I grew up in a family where you just would automatically vote for a black presidential candidate if there was one, Barack Obama, and now Kamala Harris. And she said that was how my family were. And she said, and I decided this time that I didn't care about the fact she was a woman or that she was black. I cared about what she was going to do for my personal finances, what she was going to do about the border, what she was going to do about all these things. And she talked about a number of issues. And it was really interesting. She said, so I voted, she said, you know, I was almost colorblind when I voted. I didn't care that she looked like me. I cared about what she could do for me. And I wonder, given how many black voters gravitated to Trump this time, and given particularly how many Latinos did, how many of them are having that same conversation with themselves, saying they may not even like him that much. She wasn't a particular fan of Trump's, but she just was put off by the kind of posturing of people to try and direct you to vote according to your ethnicity.
Okay. Once again, it takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of mental strength to always rebuttal stupidity. Okay, first off, I guarantee if he just spoke to a random black lady, just, you know, middle class, just, you know, I guarantee the average American, 9 times out of 10 don't care about immigration. They're worried about their money, their situation. So it's kind of weird that he's like, well, you know, she talked about immigration. No. I have plenty of political conversations with ordinary people because I'm still out there in the streets, still working regular jobs. You know what I'm saying? No one is like, man, you know, have you seen the latest numbers on the illegals crossing? No. They're saying, hey, price of gas is too high. Rent is too damn high. Those conversations. 2, tell me where throughout Harris's campaign did she talk about voting for me because I'm a woman, voting for me because I'm black. Not once. And she even tried to get baited to even talk about that. Like, how come you're not out there trying to, you know, make a big deal of this could be the first woman president? She said, people can tell I'm a woman. So that's already implied. Like, I don't have to tell people I'm a woman. They can look at me and figure that out. It's not rocket science. So when did she say, hey, vote for me because I'm a woman or vote for me because I'm black? And it seems like Pierce is having a hard time understanding if a woman is talking about women issues, 9 times out of 10, she might know what she's talking about because she's a woman. Or if a individual who's running for president and they're black and they grew up in the same hood, maybe he might know how it feels to be black in the hood. I'm just saying, like, it's just really simple concepts like that. But Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. It's fundamentally just not educated to vote for someone and say, well, this person looks like me, so that means that they have my best interests at heart. I just think it's the most uneducated thing you could possibly do. And it's especially rich when you have someone, because Mark, you just said, I maybe wouldn't vote for them because they're Black, but I might vote for them because I'm Black, right? And I might think that their interests align. I hope I'm paraphrasing that correctly.
No,
but
you're not.
The reality is even that fundamentally makes no sense. LeBron James, just because he is Black, is not living the Black experience of somebody who might be living on the south side of Chicago. It's actually insulting when LeBron James posts something, and you saw this in the comments, by the way. If we could use any metric, it was the fact that LeBron James had to start hiding comments because the overwhelming majority of them were negative when he made a post. And that was very...
You mean negative or racist? Because I know what post you're talking about, and a lot of it was racist. I have actually covered one of my recent videos about his post, and there was a lot of racist pedophile Republicans commenting under that. Go ahead, check it out. It's real, but okay.
Propagandist. He was using things that Trump said and splicing it and behind clips of the civil rights movement. It made entirely no sense. It was offensive, an offensive level of propaganda. You have a man who lives in a $100 million Bel Air mansion, okay? He does not touch his own door handles, okay? So when he tells you about how he's worried about the future for his children, this man is so wealthy and so connected that he has a son who quite literally is not qualified in terms of his actual metrics to be playing for the Lakers. But because of good old-fashioned nepotism, he is playing for the Lakers besides his father, because they thought, well, good advertisement, a father and a son playing, And so when you see that taking...
So you want to talk about nepotism when it comes to LeBron James and Black folks, but you don't want to talk about that when all these white folks get into these high quality colleges and they don't have the grades or anything to back that. Oh no, but you want to talk about affirmative action for Black folks and brown folks. Oh, I got you. Okay, cool.
Place, and this person pretending to be in the struggle. That's why I said Barack Obama exiting his mansion in Martha's Vineyard to come down and roll up his sleeves and speak to the brothers. It does resonate as insulting. And so at the end of the day, people were moved by, okay, you know what? Despite what the media rhetoric is about Trump, how am I actually living right now? And I know they're going to say, well, these statistics show, and they've released this. When I was living under Trump, the gas was low. I was able to afford gas. I was able to afford groceries. And
man, I swear. I need a punching bag right here, okay? Because I swear I'm going to one day punch a hole in my wall, okay? Because I'm going to see these faces right here, and I'm just going to punch my wall. First off, if you felt that, it was because before the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? A lot of Americans have like memory of a goldfish or even less. You know what I'm saying? Before the pandemic, sure, things were fine. But unfortunately, events happened to where it changed everything. Everybody around the world was affected by that. It's weird that I got to like remind people of what happened just a few years ago. So then when Trump left office, the pandemic was still going. Everything around the world was increasing. Not a lot of people were working. People were dying. And then just a few years ago, through Biden's, pretty decent legislation, we're starting to bring things back down. So I don't care what you felt 4 years ago. Hell, we could talk about 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Let's just go back as far as we need to. But that has no correlation to what's going on now. But no, I don't know, man. People are just so stupid, man.
Everything the media told me the first time around about him being Adolf Hitler and telling me that he was going to put me back into slave chains didn't come true.
Please do that.
Right? It didn't come true. I already survived.
You know what? Honestly, if I knew Candace Owens would be in that field picking with me, you know what? I might consider that. I don't know, man. That's really tempting right there. I don't know, man. I could do
Trump, and I was living better. And so there was this common sense element, and I knew that was going to happen. And it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see people say, I'm not going to respond to that sort of a rhetoric anymore. I'm not going to vote because I'm a woman or because I'm black,
Oh
but I'm going to
my
vote what
God.
actually makes sense.
Yeah, Mark, you're shaking your head a lot there. Why?
Well, to the first point, Candace, you may not have heard the second part of what I said. I said I vote for someone because I'm black. I said, but I also added, I don't presume that because someone shares my color that they represent my interests. So I don't assume that the black person is the best person to represent the black community, or that the woman is the best person to represent women's interests. I added that part as well.
Hey, Mark, she doesn't care. She does not care what you said. Right now, she's calculating talking points to just respond to you right now. She's not fully listening to what you're saying and then conversating off that. So don't hurt yourself trying to figure that out.
So we're actually not in disagreement there. I think it's really important to look at the agenda. I have voted in the past for old white men, old white ladies. I didn't vote for Barack Obama when he was on the ticket in '08 as a Green Party member, because I thought that the white woman who was running against him, or at that point actually a black woman, had a better chance of meeting my issues. I voted for Jill Stein instead of Hillary Clinton. There have been moments where I don't make that alignment, but I do think we have to vote based on our collective community interests. I think it's interesting, though, that to say someone like LeBron James can't speak for the conditions of a poor person or the everyday black experience of the person struggling in America, if we make that argument, because he's a near billionaire, if not a billionaire, then it would be really hard to make the argument that Trump has the ability to speak for the average Joe. It's sort of interesting that Trump's whole candidacy, his whole campaign has been based on saying, look, his whole candidacy is saying, his whole campaign has said, look, I know what is best to heal America. The people who are working in factories, when he goes down to places like Ohio or Pennsylvania, I've literally stood there as he said, I can get you back working again. I know what you're going through and I can fix the economy for you. And hear me out. Yes. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that if you have $1 billion, you might be able to do that, although I hate billionaires. And if you have no money, you might be representing the interests of the rich. Again, we can't assume a one-to-one correlation between people's own identity and status and what they're representing, because when we do that, we make a lot of dangerous assumptions. So I'm not going to reject LeBron James because he's rich. I'm going to reject him if I were to, because I don't agree with his argument. Similar to Donald Trump. I happen to agree with LeBron James, though, in this particular case, that Donald Trump did not best represent the interests of the people. While I don't think identity politics should govern our decision-making process, I also don't want us to be naive either as a nation. I don't want us to assume that nobody rejected Kamala Harris because of her womanness, or nobody rejected Kamala Harris because of her blackness. And the reason why I say that is because when we look at the campaign trail, when we look at the surrogates for Trump and other people, or people who just don't like either of them but are still calling Kamala Harris a whore or a slut or the N-word. I mean, these are things that absolutely suggest that misogyny and misogynoir play into it.
And that's
Candace, you want to respond?
Yeah, if I may respond.
Hey,
first and foremost.
No. Hold. Okay. And that's a fact, because during the New York rally, the one thing that the Trump campaign said that could not be said, I guess in someone's speech, they wanted to call Harris the C word, CUNT, that word. You know what I'm saying? So that should just tell you how they were trying to use identity politics, gender, for their base. Second off, I agree with Mark. Just because LeBron James has a bunch of money now doesn't mean he doesn't understand how that feels to be broke. Because LeBron James, unlike Donald Trump, he didn't grow up in money. He actually had to earn his money. And some people don't forget where they came from. And LeBron James has a whole history of showing he has not forgotten where he came from. So once again, let's hear Candace just completely miss the whole entire point to say something stupid.
Foremost, Trump has never tried to say, I am a blue collar worker. So that's just completely wrong. He actually leans into the fact that he is. Well, you correlated him to LeBron James, and you said, well, he does the exact same thing that LeBron James is doing. No, LeBron James pretends that he is living a struggle. Trump does not. Trump says, I'm rich, I run a
No, okay.
company, and I can help you get rich. He literally makes jokes about the fact that he's rich when he's at these events, and he's tossing jokes about, I'm a billionaire, I've done this. Like, he is the New York City stereotype billionaire.
But once again, how is a billionaire, how is someone who's never struggled in his life, unless he's caused his own struggles, like, rape and cheating on his wife and cheating out businesses, his own inflicted wounds. But how is someone who's never been struggling as a kid throughout his whole, young adult life, how is he going to know how it feels to be you and I? So even just based off her own logic, that doesn't make any sense. So, oh my God, man, they kill me.
Who basically
this
says,
hurts.
I run businesses and I'm going to run this country like a business and I'm going to lift you up. And I understand how trade works because I've been running a business. So I just fully reject that he somehow.
What business? What successful business has he had? He ran down 6 casinos, bankruptcy, 6 casinos where people literally go there to give you their money, and you somehow fail that 6 times. Candace, please do better. When you educate yourself, you can do better. Right now, you look like a damn fool. Come on now.
Cosplaying a blue collar worker. Blue collar workers are responding to him because he speaks in a way that they believe that he's going to uplift them. That's great. I'm happy we agree on that point, but you did try to correlate him to LeBron James 5 seconds ago, and that's just not the truth. But to respond to your point, because this has really bothered me, people pretending that those who have told the truth about the fact that Kamala Harris did sleep with Willie Brown and was not warranted to the position that she has as district attorney, pretending that this came up because she's running for president or because there's some element of misogyny. That is patently false. It was actually leftist newspapers at the time that she was running in Los Angeles. I pulled up these old articles in the San Francisco Chronicle who were scandalized. They felt that it was a scandal that she was being given so much power, that she was being put on boards that she did not deserve to be put on, and that she was being given those positions and making all that money not based on her merit, but because she was having an affair with Willie Brown. Again, these were the leftist San Francisco articles that were covering it at this time. You can go back, way back machine it, and read those articles yourself. So people point to the fact that she was essentially coronated because of who she was sleeping with in the past, and then now is essentially just being handed another position, not because people voted for her. I think it's relevant to the discussion of whether or not she is qualified for that position. That's fine. And the last thing I'll say is that I found it to be really alarming and borderline satanic in the manner that they ran to women and said, well, this is the election that hinges upon abortion. And I am not saying this even as a critique of people that are pro-choice. I actually think they moved away from pro-choice. They went like pro-death. It was very bizarre. It wasn't like, the typical we are pro-choice and you are pro-life. They essentially were coming to women, and their only basis for saying to vote for her is, well, the only thing women could possibly care about is whether or not we have the authority to, murder our offspring. I don't think that actually resonated even on the left. They're not that radical on the topic of abortion.
Okay, what is she talking about? No one said to vote for me so you can kill your babies. No. Why? But once again, her audience, the people that listen to her didn't graduate high school. They're literally stupid to believe that. They're saying, hey, women should be able to make their own choices. And we should be able to put them in a position to where they can raise their kids and not have fear of not being able to take care of their children. But at the bare minimum, they should have their own choice. What the hell is she talking about? It is simple. It doesn't get no deeper than that. No one in the Democratic Party said, hey, we want women to have the choice to murder every baby in their stomach. No, dummy. No, that's not how that works. That's not what was being said. So once again, she's speaking to her low intelligent community because they'll believe anything, right? There you go.
your entire platform hinge upon it. And I think that's the reason why so many people who otherwise are okay with the pro-choice movement, we also saw in those exit polls, moved away. Women moved away totally from the Democratic platform. I think it was a big mistake to hinge an entire entire election upon the topic of abortion in the way that they did.
Yeah, and Marc, before you respond to that, what I would say about that, and I was discussing this on a BBC interview last night, is it seemed to me there was a real inconsistency, if not hypocrisy. On the one hand, Kamala Harris wanted to make the whole thing about, I represent women's rights, vote for me and I'll protect women's rights, and using abortion as her reason for that and bringing back abortion rights and so on. And that's fine, except that at the same time, she has also been actively promoting the issue, for example, of trans athletes in women's sport, which most people can see is an erosion of women's rights. It's unfair, it's unequal.
Oh my God. Once again, leave it to Pierce to say the dumbest, most irrelevant things you can think of because he has nothing else to offer a conversation. Yeah, let's talk about trans people who make up less than 1% of America. Yeah, let's talk about them. Yeah, that'll really kind of get people going, huh?
Last week, the United Nations said that 900 medals have been deprived from women athletes by trans athletes competing against them, which is obviously completely outrageous. And we saw the scenes in Paris where boxers with male chromosomes were literally beating up women in front of the world. I mean, the whole thing was grotesque. I don't know how the Democrats could consistently...
And if he's talking about the same story that I believe he's talking about, where the woman extremely whipped on the other woman, there's no proof whatsoever she's a man. Like, I don't understand how they can get away with saying such stupid things and have nothing to back that up. A bunch of conspiracies, of course, because that's the only thing they can run to, but nothing factual to back that up. Pierce, please do better. Jesus
say to
Christ.
Women, we are here for protecting women's rights, when at the same time they're advocating a direct attack on women's rights.
Yeah, I want to respond to that. I want to respond to the point that Candace made prior. Again, it wasn't me pivoting or shifting my position. I wasn't suggesting that Donald Trump or LeBron James were cosplaying. I'm saying that neither is cosplaying. I think my point is not that LeBron James is a legitimate poor person. My point is he's a rich person who is able to speak to the experiences of a poor person, someone who was dirt poor at one point, and now he's pivoted. That's what I'm saying he's doing. And I'm saying no matter what class position you're in, if your politics are right, then you can speak to the issue. That's all I'm saying. I was never suggesting the thing that you were representing me to have been saying. It sounds like it was just a miscommunication. So I actually don't disagree with you on the big point.
Okay, Marc, hey, brother, I love you with from the bottom of my heart, bro. You know what I'm saying? I really love who you are and everything that you bring to the table. But please, for the love of me, stop trying to find common ground with people who are purposely being disingenuous with you. They do not care if you agree with, you do? Okay, now we can build upon. She doesn't care about that. If anything, she's going to use that to be like, this dude had nothing to argue about. If anything, he agreed with everything that I said. And then she's still going to twist what you said to fit her narrative. So, brother, please stop trying to find common ground with these disingenuous opportunists. They do not care about a substantive conversation. Obviously. Come on.
As far as the race piece of this, or the misogyny piece of this, pointing to a left-wing newspaper and saying, well, look, it's not misogyny. A left-wing newspaper was questioning this. Left-wing newspapers are misogynist. Democrats are misogynist. Misogyny isn't a right-wing problem. It's a universal problem. So just because it's in a left-wing newspaper doesn't nullify
But it's a
the
valid
claim.
critique. I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't like to cut
No,
you off,
please.
but
I
I
wanna
just
hear
want to
you.
say, do you not think it's a valid critique if somebody is given a job, not because they're qualified, but quite literally because they are sleeping with someone who gave them the position, which, like I said, caused a firestorm at that time? Do you not think it's a valid critique to say, well, they weren't even qualified to be the DA, and now all of a sudden they're trying to tell you that they're qualified to be the president of the United States? Don't you think that's a valid critique?
So can we use that same logic? Can we use that same logic for Trump? He had no qualifications to run for president. Hell, he probably doesn't even know how his local government works in New York. You know what I'm saying? But he has no qualifications, and the only thing that he ran on is fear mongering and race baiting. That's the only thing he ran on. And he still got it. And you know why? Because he's an old white man with money and access. That's it. That's the only reason why he got into that White House the first time, and the only reason why he got into the White House now. Who are we playing? Who are we trying to trick here? You think Donald Trump has some sort of intellectual understanding of how government works? He doesn't even know how tariffs works. So oh man, I don't get paid enough for this, man. Oh my God, I feel the years of my life draining every time I hear her talk. It is sucking the life out of me. Oh my God, the stupidity is strong with this one here. Oh my God.
Like setting aside misogyny?
If that were the point I was making, I would agree with you. But that wasn't the point. That was an example you gave that wasn't responsive to the point I was making. I'm saying right now, as she's running for president, there are people saying she's unqualified for the office. I think it's much more of a reasonable question to raise. 20 years ago when she's running for DA, I didn't take issue with that, right? Although I don't know enough about the Willie Brown situation to speak to it. If what you're saying is true, then yeah, you should question that. But I'm saying right now in 2024, after serving as vice president, after serving in the U.S. Senate, after serving as a district attorney, after having all of these jobs, state attorney general, I don't think qualification is the right thing to raise. I think it's perfectly reasonable to say, I don't think she's good at this. I think it's perfectly reasonable to say she'd be bad at this.
What about
to say
the
I think it's a different issue.
Let's move
to the trans point. Yes. I'm going to the trans point. To the trans.
Pierce is no. We got to talk about trans people. No, Mark. We have to pivot to trans people because that feeds my low IQ audience. I need them to click on this video because we talk about trans people. Man, swear, man. Oh my God, don't put me in the same room with these idiots, bro. I swear they're not going to like me. Not one bit. Oh my God.
Point. I don't think it's a contradiction for Democrats to do that unless they accept the terms of your argument. Let me be clear. If you think that trans women are not women, then yes, it would be a violation of women's rights to say that trans women should be boxing. I happen to believe.
No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mark.
I need to finish. No. I insist on finishing this point because I will not be cut off and misrepresented. Let me make the point.
Okay.
I happen to believe that biological males should not participate in women's sports. I am fine taking that position. Yeah, that's my point. Sometimes if you hear me out, you'll realize we're not even debating. But there are many Democrats who don't take that position. There are many people on the left who believe that, and let me be clear, I think trans women are women. I just think sports are divided in a very particular way. In 8th grade, we make a decision that we need to divide sports up by gender or by sex, right? Because we believe that there's something fundamentally different about biological boys and biological girls to say we shouldn't be running on the same track team. We shouldn't be boxing each other. I'm okay with that argument. I agree with that argument. I don't want to speak for Candace, but I suspect she agrees with me on this, and I suspect you agree with me on that. So we're not in disagreement on that. But just because I have that position doesn't mean that everyone who disagrees with me is being a hypocrite, because they don't begin from the same premise that I begin from. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. So I don't think it's contradictory.
Hang on.
Okay. And this is where they don't understand what he's saying. They're not comprehending what he is saying. What he's saying is he believes that women and men shouldn't be competing in the same sport, like boxing, for example. But he does understand that trans women who want to be women can be women. But biologically, they shouldn't be in men's sports or vice versa. And he's agreeing with you. Those are two separate conflicts that he's trying to separate there. But watch how these idiots don't understand that. They're going to be like, oh, no, I'm caveman. I just want to say words like, oh, my God.
Yeah, but, all right, hang on. What other premise could there possibly be? The bottom line is these are people who were born biological males who are competing against biological females. And there's a reason why we don't do that in sport. It's why the Olympics have always separated the sexes, because the truth is, if they didn't, women wouldn't win any medals.
He just said that. Oh my God. Maybe, I don't know. Is it something like when you reach a certain status, like your brain stops functioning like a normal human being? Marc literally 40 seconds ago said that, and he believes that. And then you're like, no. Hold on. Let's break this down. So you're telling me that you agree with me, but I'm going to sit here and pretend like you don't agree with me because I need to make this an argument here. So I'm just going to keep repeating myself, even though I heard you say you agree with me. Is that all you have, Pierce?
Look, I mean, listen, I know that
I think what you should do is bring someone in who has the position that you're trying to debate. Instead, it's like you're trying to force a debate with me on something that we agree on. So bring on somebody who has the opposite position, and they can speak for that. But what I'm saying is
right.
that
I just wanted to add here, like, just to say where we do actually differentiate, like, trans women are absolutely not women. And that's why we're playing the crazy game right now, is because we have people that are trying to parse reality and say, well, I believe trans women are women, but they're also biological men. Like, the fact that we are calling them trans women, it is because they are not women. I am a woman, and no matter how you feel on the inside, you are never going to be a woman. And that disagreement, that fundamental disagreement, is the reason why we are playing the crazy game. I won't play it. I will not.
And to be honest, in my opinion, and I said this plenty of times in my past content, so you can pull up the receipts. I got it. I do not care. I don't care if you want me to call you a woman and you're a man, or if you are a man, you want me to call you a woman, you want me to call you a leprechaun, you want me to call you a grizzly bear. I don't care. At the end of the day, I don't care. Probably the three amazing words put together by mankind. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, if I call you a man or I call you a woman, that's not going to affect my finances. That's not going to affect my job quality. That's not going to affect my being. My life is not in danger if hey, you know what? You want to be called a woman? Okay. All right. Homegirl, whatever. That's not going to affect me. I have enough self-love, self-respect, enough understanding of my manness. I am comfortable with myself. If I call a trans man a woman, it's not going to make me gay. I'm a lot stronger than that. Now, if you can't do that because you have some sort of eternal conflicts happening within you, then that's on you. But don't try to put your insecurities on everybody else. Maybe you need to see a therapist. I don't know.
Address a man that is in a dress as a woman. It's insulting to me. It's insulting to the things that actual women live through in their lives. And you can play Halloween.
God.
You can put
Cry
lipstick
me a
on a
river.
pig.
Jesus
it is still a
Christ.
pig, and it is just Halloween. So I just feel very strongly about that, and I wanted to make that clear. And that this is a large part, though, Piers, going back to your point of why, because my sisters were on the left, and this is the first election that they voted for Trump. They're from Connecticut, dyed in the wool Democrats, I guess you could say, and they moved to
Piers Morgan. Oh man, this is facts right here. Your sisters, honestly, I'm pretty sure your sisters is as dumb as rocks, just like you. So why do I care what your sisters think. I don't care. I don't care. Okay? Jesus
and
Christ.
the trans issue was the number one reason that they did.
Yeah.
What they said was happening in the school system made them fearful. They have sons. They thought it was completely crazy and bizarre that they're insisting upon trying to make toddlers. My sisters have toddlers believe that they can be anything that they want and that they're non-binary. They truly believe the left has gone crazy. And they say, I didn't leave the left left me.
Oh my God. Name one policymaker. Name one prominent policymaker that's saying we want to convince toddlers to be anything they want. Go ahead. I'll wait. Oh no, I'm pretty sure you can't find nothing because Harris wasn't championing, hey, we're going to tell toddlers that they could be anything they want. No, that is not happening. But once again, stupid people, man. Stupid people will believe anything because they're uneducated and they don't know the basic functions of critical thinking, figuring things out. No. Oh, really? My sister's telling me they want to trans my toddler. I'm going to believe her. Idiots, man.
And that is an accurate statement to make because they cannot just see things that are just so plainly obvious. They are trying to criminalize the idea that a woman is a woman and you can't just become a woman because you feel a certain way on the inside. And the right, like I'm doing right now, I will just say it as it is, right? You are not a woman. I am sorry that you are suffering from a mental disorder. If you were suffering from any other mental disorder, I would treat you the same way. I want you to get better. But because you are suffering from a mental disorder.
And Candace Owens is suffering from wanting to be white. You know what I'm saying? She tries so hard to fit in. I think she has a mental disorder. So Candace, please seek help. You are not white. You are black. I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm sorry that you look into the mirror and continuously hate your hair, hate your lips, hate your skin. I'm sorry. But you need to seek help and stop reflecting that onto other people. Because you look ridiculous, all right?
Disorder does not mean that I have to pretend that I have a mental disorder and that I see things differently. I don't.
And
I mean, Mark, I'll let you respond directly to what Candace says there. Well, let me just point out one thing.
So,
let me just point out one thing. There was a New York Times report today that said that one of the most effective Trump ads during the presidential race towards the end was the one where he had Kamala Harris saying, she'll call you they, them. I'll call you, you, or whatever it was.
So stupid,
and that
man.
turned out to be, to the Trump campaign team's surprise, one of their most effective ads of the whole race, apparently, which suggests it is a much bigger issue than some Democrats clearly want people to think. I saw Joe Scarborough on this yesterday.
Oh, my God, because it's easy to fear people when you can use a marginalized group as a scapegoat or as a reason to, oh my God, protect your kids, protect your jobs. Like, it's easy. They did that with black folks. They did that with Mexican people. They still doing it. You know, so it's easy. The whole AIDS pandemic back in the 70s and 80s, they did the same thing to fearmonger people. So if you can just like read a little bit, figure some things out, you'd be like, wait, so you want me to be fearful of a group of people that make up less than 1% of Americans? You want me to fear them? I've never met a trans person. They ain't never called me a nigga. But you want me to fear them because of what? Why? But once again, when you're feeding false information, when you're feeding misinformation to low IQ individuals, they're going to believe it. Then they're going to be scared. And then they're going to vote for you. And that's what happened. So Yeah, great job, Candace.
Vocal, saying this trans issue has gone completely wrong. The Democrats should not be supporting this kind of thinking. And Bill Clinton, apparently, according to the New York Times, he directly tried to get the Democrats and Kamala Harris and her team to understand that they had to come out against this. But they didn't. And that is, I think, a big problem, particularly, as I say, the reason I think it's a big problem is if at the same time you're trying to say, I'm the person protecting women's rights. One of the reasons why so many women didn't vote for her may be because they just didn't buy it. Sorry, if you did, you wouldn't allow this.
I'll respond to all those points. I think they're interesting points. I think, one, I'm not sure anyone, and again, I need to see the data to speak to this, just as we all should. I don't think anyone is voting for the president based on this issue. It could be an issue that tips the scale, but I think most people aren't voting for president based on this issue. I just don't think it's the priority issue of most people.
Mothers are.
I do. Again, they may be. I'd like to see the evidence of that. I can't say definitively one way.
No, Mark. Because her sisters, okay, her, unbiased sisters who was hardcore Democrats or whatever. No, that's their number one issue. So, just based off her sisters, that kind of reflects of all mothers in America. I'm sorry, Mark, like her sisters said so. Data? You want facts to back that up? No, her sisters are the facts right there. There you go. Great job.
But it's never happened before in any election, so this would be the first time. So if it's true, just show me the evidence, and I'm happy to learn from it. But to the bigger point here, I think that we can say, when I say woman, I'm including cisgender women, I'm including transgender women. When I say women, I'm including all of their experiences. When I want to protect women, I don't just want to protect cisgender women, I want to protect transgender women. When it comes to sports, for me, it's about a competitive advantage. If someone were a cisgender woman, which we've seen before, that had high levels of testosterone, but were not trans, just had high levels of testosterone that gave a competitive advantage, I would say they also should not compete. It's not their transness. It's about keeping a level playing field. And I believe, as a general rule, and there might be some exceptions, but as a general rule, a person who is a trans woman in particular, and we see this actually on the converse, when trans male boxers attempt to compete with cis male boxers, the trans women lose. They lose badly. And honestly, I worry about their safety and their health. So it's not a safe playing field. But that doesn't mean that to acknowledge the womanness and the humanity and the fundamental dignity and legitimacy of trans identities is to play make-believe or to play fairy tales. I think we can acknowledge their humanity. And most Democrats, most Democrats, I think, who I speak to, and again, I'm not a Democrat, but I'm on the left. Most Democrats, I think, share the position I have. I don't think most people, at least in my neighborhood, my community, I'll talk about Black people in particular, think that trans folks should be playing in sports, right? In ways that create competitive disadvantage.
Once again, it is not an argument. But no, this is what people find divisive to continue to push out there. That's not even 9 times out of 10, you are not dealing with that. But what you are dealing with is high gas prices. But no, let's not talk about that, because if we dig too deep into the numbers, into the facts, you might see some things or learn some things you don't want to know. And then you probably be like, why the hell did I vote for this racist guy? That's what would happen.
I disagree on that central point.
They recognize and
just to be okay. Okay, hang on. We've got about 3 minutes left. Candace,
I feel so strongly about this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I just.
Oh my God. I feel so strongly about this. Oh my God. I feel so strongly about. Shut up.
I think you've made your point strongly. I just want to ask you, with just a few minutes left, what do you want Trump to do? He's got an incredible mandate here. What would you like to see him do, Candace, to really transform America in a positive way?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything that he promised he would do. Secure the borders. I want him to get the illegals out of this country. It fundamentally is hurting the workers, particularly the blue-collar workers, is hurting Black Americans. It's why you saw men moving away from this. And obviously, Latinos are upset about it as well, to try to conflate being a legal Latino citizen with being an illegal, I think is something that has been upsetting to people.
I mean, you do know he wants to even send legal immigrants out the country. Oh my God, man. Okay.
Very much want him to go after the deep state. I know I saw peers that you tweeted, and many people have this sentiment like we should take the high road now. We should walk away from this. We shouldn't go after Hunter Biden. I think it's the exact opposite. He took the high road in his first the first time that he was in office, and look what they did to him afterwards. We need to root out this corruption and truly go after the Department of Justice, because if they will do this to a sitting president, how safe does an American feel? I want him to instantly, I mean, on first day in the office, to take care of Edward Snowden.
Yeah, our next president, who is a convicted felon, shouldn't be prosecuted, because what can happen to the average American? Okay, let's just finish this, man.
Julian Assange. To issue them both pardons. And I want to make sure that the people that are around him do a very good job at deregulating this economic environment. I look forward to seeing what RFK Jr. does to the CDC. He has been on to them for a very long time. Absolutely collapse Big Pharma, what they did throughout COVID, the bureaucratic state that was a warning to...
You mean COVID that happened under Trump's administration? You mean that collapse? No. Of course, we don't want to talk about that. All right. I'm already about to be an hour in. But no, let's just pretend that wasn't under Trump, right? Okay, got you.
What will come if we allow the state to continue to grow. And he's got to fundamentally shrink government, secure the borders, and root out the corruption of the Department of Justice and the deep state.
And Mark, we got about a minute. What would you want him to do?
A bunch of stuff that he's not going to do. I'd love to see him hike the minimum wage to a living wage. I'd love to see him cut off funding to Israel. I'd love him to restore full funding to the Palestinian people through UNRWA, and in fact, increase that funding. I'd love to see him sign a reparations agenda. I'd love to see universal health care for all. I'd love to see student debt forgiveness. I'd love to see him, jump back into all the international climate agreements that he's pulled out from in the past and commit to staying in them. And I'd love to see him have a humane border policy. We may disagree on what humane looks like, but we absolutely need one. So I'd love to see him do all that stuff. And if he does all that stuff, I will fight for a constitutional change to give him a third term.
You know what? If he does all that stuff, it's highly likely that the reason is he's transitioned into being Kamala Harris. And that...
Hey, Mark, if he does all that, I'm fighting with you, honestly. But I mean, it's already about to be an hour. But once again, if you made it through the end of this video, let me know in the comments down below. And I'm going to give you a virtual hug like this. I'm going to be like, oh, thank you so much for watching this video. You know what I'm saying? Because it takes a true intellectual to endure the stupidity that the right is constantly pushing. And sometimes you just got to force yourself to listen to what they're saying so you can truly understand, think about, and then be able to rebuttal with facts, historical data, and common sense and critical thinking. That's what's important. So once again, if you made it this far, let me know in the comments down below so I can personally thank you myself. Once again, if you think I said anything incorrectly in this video, hit the Discord link down below so we can have that one-on-one talk, or let me know how you guys feel in the comments down below. And like always, let's have that conversation.